How's it going, everybody? I am ZBilbs, and I'm here with another metal albums ranked video, and today I am going over the top 6 Alcest albums. Now, I just recently went over Agalloch, so I've gotten into some black metal-esque albums as of recently, and Alcest was another very good introductory one. So I went through these albums, and Alcest is a great band. There are no bad albums here. So I'm just gonna go through these, and yeah. So starting off at number 6, I have got Kodama. Now this album, I don't really know. It's hard for a lot of these albums to particularly express what makes it better than others, because Alcest is just so consistent in their just quality of musicianship. They just do not skip a beat when it comes to their style, except for one exception where they tried something a little bit different, but they're just consistently great throughout. So a lot of times it just, I don't even know how to describe it too much, but Kodama, definitely one of the harder parts about this is it does only have 6 songs. Now, a handful of Alcest albums do have a shorter amount of songs, but it definitely doesn't help when there is less songs, because there's less amount of chances to make something truly memorable, especially if a couple of them don't hit. And that was the case with Kodama, where it was a very competent album, but a couple of songs here and there I just kind of felt they were forgettable. And so while it's still not a bad album by any means, I just think it's the weakest overall. Some of the better songs in this album: Kodama, the title track, is great. Untouched and Oiseau de Proi. I'm gonna have a horrible time pronouncing all these French words, so you're gonna have to just bear with me. But either way, those were great songs from this album. But yeah, just not quite as good as other ones. So that is Kodama at 6. Moving on to 5, I've got the one that's probably usually in last place, and that is Shelter. Now, this was the one album where it really isn't even black gaze, it's just pretty much straight up shoegaze, which I don't really have a problem with too much if they can do it well. And while it is done well, I do think kind of the black edge that Alcest does to the shoegaze type to make it black gaze is lost with this album, and it is a bit of a detriment. Now, this is still a very well-made album overall. Most of the songs are still really great, but not having that edge definitely detracts it some points. But yeah, some of the better songs: Wings, Opale, Voix Serenice, Shelter, the title track, Away, which I think is their one song that they did in English, so that's kind of nice, the one that I can understand. And then Deliverance, or however you pronounce that. All great songs there. So a pretty consistent album overall, but just the style that they go for just isn't quite as interesting as other Alcest albums, so that's why it's at number 5. Moving on to number 4, here from 4 on up, all of these 4 are like within 1 point of each other. All 4 of these I could switch around any day. Just Alcest is so unbelievably consistent in their style. But, you know, something has to come here. So at number 4, I have got Les Voyages de l'Âme, or something like that. And, you know, once again, this is a great album. I think it's got like 8 or 9 tracks. The thing about this album, I suppose, is like the tracks are really great, but it's got a lot of them that is just kind of like solid, like it's a good album, but it doesn't quite stick with me as much as songs a little bit higher on this list. The best song in this album is probably Beings of Light, but there's obviously plenty of great ones. Havens is a good little mini instrumental. The title track is great. Autre Temps is solid. I'm not even going to try to pronounce some of those other ones, but the majority of the songs in this album are pretty solid, just not quite as memorable as some of the other ones. So that's what I gotta put at 4. But honestly, like as I said, all of these are so close that it's hard to justify. But yeah, moving on to number 3, I've got their debut album, Souvenirs d'un autre monde, something like that. This is a really solid album. It's kind of like, I suppose, Shelter, where I think you could argue that this isn't exactly black gaze either, because you don't have those signature kind of black gaze screams that Nij does in the other albums. But I'd still consider it more, maybe not even black gaze, but black metal-esque, just because I think it does have that kind of atmospheric lo-fi element in the background that Shelter completely just gets rid of. So that adds a little bit of spice to it, and overall I don't miss the black metal shrieks too much. For me, I only like those a little bit in conjunction with the, just the beautiful voice that Nij has. But this album, once again, it's very good. I think this one has a lot of acoustic. This one probably sounds the most folky out of all of the other Alcest albums, which definitely isn't a detriment. Some of the best songs on here, Les Iris is great, Tir Nan Og, Ciel Errant, Sur l'Atre. Once again, most of these songs are pretty solid, just mostly personal preference, but yeah, that is this album coming in at number 3. All right, moving on to number 2. Maybe a controversial pick. I know that Equestrian Metal absolutely loved this album, and it was very close to my number 1, but at number 2 I have Escales de Lune. This is a really solid album, especially for it only having, I think, 6 songs in it. It's really just consistent, concise, and just great. And I definitely can tell people who heard this for the first time, like, probably blew their mind, because I'm pretty sure this album, like, set the benchmark for, like, what black gaze really is, because it took Souvenirs and really just, added the core, like, signature Alcest black gaze style to it with the iconic, like, shrieks from Nij. But it also has that, kind of atmospheric lo-fi to it, and obviously the beautiful singing from Nij as well is just, it's just a really, really well done album. The title track, part 1 and 2, are both great. Abysses is a really interesting instrumental. Solar Song is beautiful. It's probably my favorite on the album. Also, Sur l'Océan Couleur de Feu is also really great. There's only one song that I think I don't love quite as much, which is probably why this one isn't number 1, but honestly, it could easily be number 1. It's so hard to pick these, but yeah, that's Escales de Lune or something at number 2. And lastly, at number 1, I have Spiritual Instinct. Now, this is their most recent album, and it's really good. I don't know what more to say. I can't even really justify why it's here. It's just like the other 3 albums that were before this one. It's just signature Alcest. It's consistent in quality. It's got some really great bangers on there, so, just good album. Some of the best songs on this album, Les Jardins des Minutes, Protection, Les Miroirs, title track Spiritual Instincts. I think Sapphire is my favorite song from this album. So once again, this is just Alcest being great, just being consistent. Really solid album overall. So that is my favorite Alcest album. So let me know in the comments, how would you rank the 6 Alcest albums? What other bands would you like to see me rank in the future? The last black metal band that I'll be ranking soonish probably will be Dimmu Borgir, so be looking forward to that. But yeah, that is all I got for you. We'll see you later.